Episode 96, episode 96, 96 episodes, and this is the 96th one. Man, I love you guys. How's your mental health? Let's start with you, Coach Chop. How's your mind?
Mind is strong. Yeah, excited for today. It's going to be great. And I can't wait to get into it, boys. How you feeling, Flick Money?
Like a crisp $20 bill. You know those new ones out of the ATM, like an Andy Jackson, when it's so sharp you actually smell the new money smell. That's how I feel in my mind and in my heart. So excited to be on here with you guys. Yeah, let's do this.
Love it. Well, I feel like trash. So, uh, just kidding. I'm in good shape, but for those of you not dialed in like a crisp $20 bill, I think this conversation might help you out. We've been there. We get it. Thank you all for listening. Our patrons, you're keeping the lights on. You keep this microphone working. So I want to say thank you, Warstick. Thanks for sponsoring this podcast. If you want a discount code, go to their website and go attaboy15 in the discount code. Bang. We love you guys. Ian Kinsler, you're the man. And then for the rest of September, get you a Tanner Tea at the Tanner Tea's website, discount code attaboy. They're the best. You can screw them, unscrew them, fit them in a small bag, and you can take them wherever you want to. But Aaron Judge uses it, so there you go. As promised last week, we're getting right into the topics. Lots of questions coming in. If you have questions, DM me on Instagram, or as Coach Belichick calls it, InstaFace. And let's get right into it, boys. You got any tips for a coach parent? And Chopper, will let you lead off with this one. I'm the head coach for my 5-year-old. He's playing up this fall, playing with 6, 7, and 8-year-olds. He's the youngest in the division, but he's doing great, 6 for 7 at the plate. And so far, defensively dialed in as well. I love keeping the team motivated as the head coach and try to always give praise to each of the kids. Sometimes I see him seeking out my praise, and I feel like I have missed an opportunity by not praising him first, like I may have one of the other players that's not as advanced, not as skilled. I do not want him to grow up thinking that his efforts were never enough. In my eyes, he's the greatest player I've ever watched. It's a great one. Great question, Coach. Thanks for sending it our way. You coach lots of teams, and you coach your own boy. So what do you got here, Chopperoosk?
Yeah, I can relate to it. I've got a baby that is something like I've never seen. And so I'm fortunate in that we get to do a lot of work with just me and him, and spend a lot of time together. We're best friends. So he knows how I feel about him. But there have been times in the past where he, would say, I thought you were going to say this about me or that about me. And I'm like, I'd be happy to do that. The hard thing is it'd be hard for me to stop talking about you, because that's just how much I think about you, and how proud I am of you. And it's, I try to really share that with the rest of the group when we're in that group setting. But I think as a dad, if that's what your son wants, then yeah, give that to him. But I make sure in those moments away from the field or away from the team setting, that Bo knows kind of how I feel about him, and how he takes my breath away every time. I can't fathom. I was pretty good at baseball, and I couldn't hold a candle to him already. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, I get that, and I understand that from the coach. But you're trying to share the love with the other kids.
Do you ever have to explain yourself to Bo while you guys are, just one-on-one? Say, hey, there are times when you should have probably got the game ball, but I felt like I had to be democratic about it. Is he in on the joke, so to speak?
He's the first one to offer up, all these silly USSSA rings on this nonsense you get when we're a ring short, or someone's like, man, I wish I had. He'll just give his. He's got probably 60 awards in his room. So he's the first one to give up a game ball or a ring or all these things that they give away, little $5 nonsensical things that some kids put on a pedestal. He's the first one. So yeah, I've had to say, hey, Bo, I'm going to instead of giving you the MVP on this one, I'm going to give it to so-and-so because I want to make sure other people get it. Otherwise, yeah, Bo would get it quite often. But to his credit, and it's to his mom's credit, he's mindful of like, how do we make, we talked about it last week. Teams don't function well with bad teammates, right? So you could have a really talented kid, but if he is all about himself and give me all these awards and yeah, tell me how good I am, that messes with the team dynamic. So for you to have a kid who is by far the best player on the field, who is even more worried about, okay, how can I love on my teammates and make sure they feel welcome and praised? And it's a special breed of a kid who is very all in on how do we treat others the way we want to be treated. Yeah, credit to his mom.
Such a thoughtful question by this coach, fighting that nepotism vibe, flick money. What did you gather from this?
Um, my thought was, I don't wish for my kids to get what they want all the time. I wish for them to get what they need. So I was just thinking about what does the child need? Well, he's 5. So first of all, he all kids that age, they need about a 5-to-1 positive to constructive criticism ratio for their minds to kind of work optimally. So if you're doling those out generously to all the kids, and he's another kid on your team, 5 praises. I really try. I'm not great at it, but I try to make the praises when I'm coaching less about performance-based stuff. Like everyone knows when you got a great hit, that feels good. There's immediate feedback. Everyone can see that he's hitting really well. But I really try to praise loudly about great choices, being a great teammate, seeing the hustle, the effort, the things that, when they're practicing hard, doing little extra things, backing up a base. I try to really praise loudly on those things in a 5-to-1, and then give the constructives. But and the thing we keep saying over and over on this podcast, if someone came and watched your practice, would they be able to tell who your son was? And that can go either way, not just because you're overpraising him, but also if you're starving him of praise because you're afraid of making it look a certain way, that would be another way I could tell that was your son. So let's just do your best. We're not perfect, but my advice would be stay away from performative praise, and just give the kids as much as you can, that 5-to-1 ratio, and you'll be in great shape. And awesome to you to have. I'm so stoked that you have a little guy that loves the game and can really do it. That's got to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I just want to give you some confidence, Coach, that if you're asking this question and you're that thoughtful to be self-aware enough to know, man, I want this kid to know that I am his biggest fan forever. I think you're doing it. I think you're there. I just want to give you the confidence to know, just by the way you make him breakfast and drive him to the game. I don't know that. He has to have that game ball every time he deserves it. Quotes when you're very thoughtful in other walks of life. My dad never really coached any of my teams, but there was just constant praise to all kids. He was always just praising everybody. So just keep walking that walk where both of you said it perfectly. There's life lessons that can be learned at a 5-to-1 ratio of constructive criticism versus really getting what they feel like they deserve. But you have those moments, those one-on-one games of catch. And man, when my dad used to tell me, yeah, I love watching you play the game. You're my favorite player to watch. I love watching you out there. I love Mickey Burgess too. I love watching him play. He's awesome, but you're my guy if I had to choose, So yeah, keep doing what you're doing for sure. It's a good topic. I don't want to brush past it quickly. If you guys had any other thoughts on it.
I'll say this, since this youngster's only 5, as he gets a little bit older, especially, it sounds like he's pretty good. As a parent, because there's times when Bo will feel himself a little bit and he'll start talking or bragging. And those are those little moments where I try to nudge him back to like, hey, I never heard Mookie Betts talk about himself. I never heard so-and-so. The true greats, other people do the talking. Like, you look to praise others and try to nudge them into that kind of that humble, just mindset of like, hey, dude, we saw it. We got it. It was dope. You hit for the cycle. It was cool. But we all saw it. and so make sure that you're carrying yourself in this way where you are inspiring others and you're not making it about you. And so sometimes this little guy's pretty talented. So I want to throw that little nugget into dad's ear of like, start looking for opportunities where you can kind of promote humility.
Yep, and prioritize character. Give out the awards for character. Give the award to that kid not because of the three doubles and the put out from right field to home plate, but the way he treated that guy that was 0 for 4 and the way he put his arm around him. So man, really preach that character over talent all day. Good stuff. Let's go with this one. The best way to pick kids up when things aren't going their way. We hit this topic last week as well. I would dive into that one if you didn't listen to episode 95. But just some thoughts I have on picking kids up. Before I know how to go about it, I got to learn their love language. I got to learn how they respond to different things and how they learn. So we talked about the Mike Schilt key, finding the key to unlock each kid. You're gonna learn pretty quickly if you're looking through the lens of character and awarding character. You're going to be given baseball cards or Skittles or bubble gum to kids that are making good choices, and you check in. Is this kid responding to awards? Nope. What about verbal praise, words of affirmation? What about humor? As the diesel we talked about last week, just brought in a little dance move for this kid that was down and out, and it worked perfectly with a funny tone. But she knew that was probably what was going to get him out of that lull is a little funny way of saying something and a little dance move. Might not work for everybody. Some kids might think that you're picking on them. So you really have to know, oh, that's a bashful kid. It's not a humor thing. They need something else. So find out how they tick. But I just try to build a culture where everybody gravitates to the kid struggling. As soon as that happens, man, let's support them. Anybody who gets out, can you have empathy? Can you share a time when you struggled as well? Can you hook them up with a fist bump or a hand on the shoulder? So build that culture up. That's I think that's almost undefeated. Yeah. Flick Money, what about you? Any tricks here? Picking kids up when things aren't going their way.
Yeah, this it's a lot to take on if you are the only one who's responsible for every kid on your team, picking them up and pulling them out of these spots. Really engage. I love what Coach Wellgame does here. You really engage your team, his teammates, in being kids hear kids a lot better than they hear us, especially at specific ages. So if you can create that culture where the kids are picking each other up, um, and kids are pretty good at sussing out, what each kid needs. Some kid, he needs a minute. Give him a minute. Let him punch the back of the dugout wall. Give him a minute, and then he can get himself back, and the kid will go put their arm around them. Some kids really thrive when a bunch of kids go to them. But if you can engage the other kids in being teammates who lift and support when they see someone's head down, I think that's going to go a lot further than you feeling responsible for saddling every kid's emotional well-being. That way, then when you are the one who comes in, you're sort of the Mariano Rivera of psychology. You're the last step who comes in and said, "Hey, our arm around him. Hey, I love watching you play. I'm not worried about that, short-term setback. This is where we learn and get better. I'm so excited. Look, what an opportunity we have to get better right here." That's when that's going to really mean something. But let's engage his teammates and being great teammates. This is what it's all about. And this is how, especially young men, we can really help each other's mental health when we're great teammates who lift and support each other. So great opportunity there.
I say this a lot on the pod. If you zoom out, though, if you can zoom out and see the big picture, what an opportunity this is for them to learn a life lesson of overcoming adversity. And when things get a little more life or death, right? This is not life or death. This is 7-year-old baseball. But when things do get hard, and they've learned this life lesson from you, and you've been able to nurture them through it, walk with them through it, find the love language that worked for them, kind of empower them to be able to tackle this thing. Man, when it really matters, they're going to remember you, and you did a great job changing a life, maybe saving a life. So hard to do, right? But if we're trying to micromanage in the moment and try and fix this thing, quick fix, quick fix, quick fix, they sniff that out pretty quick, and it turns them off. So zoom out is such a good opportunity for us as youth coaches, to look 10 years in the future, when that sibling passes away, that parent is sick, when it's really hard. I'm going through this now. Our age group, parents are getting older, things are getting tougher. Man, I'm leaning on these life lessons constantly. So kind of look at each high leverage moment, each thing that seems like a door shutting. That's an opportunity for a life lesson, for a brand new one to open. Chopper.
Yeah, it's the culture that you create, and you guys hit it on the head. It's all of us, all for one. And I love using Flick Money's kind of analogy of like, is it 1-on-1 in the box, or can it be 12v1? So it's that everyone picks each other up. Hey, let's win this next moment. I talk a lot about, hey, someone's going to strike out, to the spoiler alert. Someone's going to strike out. Someone's going to make an error. All that stuff's going to happen. Someone's going to make a bad base running mistake. The key is, how do we respond? So if you can instill that resiliency of knowing, like, we're not perfect, but dude, we're never going to quit, and we're never going to make it about us. And that's just the culture you create. And it takes time. I've been with this group now for 2 years. And we're quite a ways from where we want to be, but what an opportunity that is to keep grinding on it and keep working. And hopefully by the time they're 18 and I send them off to the college of their choice, we're a whole heck of a lot closer to where we want to be.
Bang biscuit. Love to see it. Love to see it. I've been saying that a lot. I stole that from you, Chopper, a few weeks ago. Love to see it. You love to see it. And I've just been like, anytime like the serotonin dips from 10.2 down to 8.7, I just love to see it. I love to see it. And it really helps. It just picks me right up. Small win. You love to see it.
Perfect. You do love to see it.
Well, I don't love to see this. My son, who is 7, got hit with a baseball and is afraid to play. What do I do? What do I say? Okay, well, I'm going to say this. I have a webinar on this topic October 24. So tune into that, all of you, all 1,000 of you that have emailed me about this. When I did lessons for a decade, under a floodlight behind a McDonald's in Torrance, California, 90% of the kids I coached, we talked about this. We just tried to talk about fear of getting hit by the ball. So we're going to take a whole hour on that webinar, and that's going to lead right into our next launch of our playbook. Hashtag plug me, Flick Money, Chopper. We'll be doing the Coach Ballgame playbook, a live launch once again, October 28, 29, and 30. And then we'll go put our costumes on and have a Halloween bash. So we've got some fun things to do there digitally. But on this topic, what I will say is everybody goes through it, and I think the earlier they can go through it, the better. But again, it's a side effect of hopefully rule changes that need to be made. Where when I was 8 years old, I had a great arm, but no idea where I was going. I hit 8 straight kids the first time I ever pitched. The catcher came out and said, "James, please don't hit anybody else." They're all crying in the dugout in there, and it was rough to see. So I think some changes have to be made where if you're going to pitch, if you're going to be a kid pitcher in a game, there has to be some grading system where you've been able to throw 7 out of 10 strikes in a practice session. That way, this doesn't happen. It's happening way too much. And I've said this before. The 2 reasons kids quit is it's boring or they get hit by the pitch. Like, no, I didn't sign up for this. So I- I've got I've got ways to kind of win small here to win big. It will not happen overnight, but there are steps that can be taken. I'll just say this: everybody goes through it. Don't rush them through it, and award the small victories. When that front foot, it just kind of glided out of the box instead of like jerking out. When that front shoulder stayed closed, halt, stop the press. Here's a bag of Smarties, dude. Way to go, man. Um, yeah. So that's about all I'll say on that. You guys have any nuggets for this? And this doesn't have to just be getting hit by a pitch. This can be fear in general, fear of something different, fear of kids you don't know, a game you've never played. So, what do you got for this dad coach of fear? You know, how do we get out of that, Flick?
I would start with I don't know if you've ever seen. There's a great movie out there called Rally Caps. I would definitely show Rally Caps to this young ball player or any
Bang.
young ball player because it's about overcoming fear and actual trauma at a real level. Let's start there. That can be helpful. It's creating a story around it and showing them an example of someone who came through something hard. But also one of the things that I had some coaches that I really appreciated, they taught me how to get hit the right way. And they did it with Nerf balls and they did it with wiffle balls so that I can say to a child, I'm going to teach you how to get hit by a pitch in a way that I guarantee you is the sting will go away, but you're not going to be injured. We're going to work on not being injured because I think the big fear is that it scared me enough because I think there's a serious injury in this field of possibility. Well, if we can teach you how to get the big muscles in front and protect yourself, protect your head and your face, especially. Maybe equipment could be another part of the story. If it's a face mask, that's going to give them a little sense of confidence. But I've been thinking a lot about this idea. Nothing breeds confidence like skill building. When someone feels competent at a skill, you feel more confident. So let's teach them how to get hit by a pitch the right way. Let's teach them how to roll the shoulder, that front shoulder in. The head goes away, the front shoulder comes in. You get all the big muscles, the big meaty, the hamstring, the glutes, the big meaty parts of your shoulder and back. Let's get those in the way, get the face out of the way. Also pull the bat down, by the way. We've all seen that crazy moment where the kid forgets to pull the bat down, the ball hits the bat and it's a fair ball. But that's not the point here. But yeah, I would say let's breed some confidence, equipment, skill building around getting hit by a pitch. Let's let them work at their own pace. Let's say, hey, we want you at practice. If you want, we'll go wiffle ball BP or tennis ball BP until you tell me you're ready to hit the regular balls. Our teammates are going to surround you with support. And this is going to be your journey of healing. This is your opportunity. I forget the youngster in the Rally Caps, the main character's name.
Jordy.
Jordy. Yeah. This is your Jordy moment. You tell us, we'll work with you, we'll push you, but we're not going to. We're going to be respectful of your process to come back here. And I think we can, with maybe a 4-prong approach like that, we can make some progress.
Yep. I also think this can be there can be more cons than pros if it's dad working with son on this, because your instincts might be to push him out of the fear bucket a little quicker than maybe somebody else. So this could be something to hand off, right? Hand off to an assistant coach. We talked in Bainbridge Island, Washington. They have a system where if there is anything skill based, then it's a handoff. Dad is not teaching son this. We're going to hand it off to an assistant coach. I could say the same thing for anything traumatic. You kind of, they need dad to be supportive, to just be in their rally. They're rallying behind you. They need to know that. So maybe it's an assistant coach that can do the challenging, so to speak. Not a quick fix though. Chopper.
Yeah, I do the same thing Flick Money just said with the tennis ball and just teach him, give him the, hey, this is how you get hit by a pitch. BYOB, bring your own bat, bring that thing down. And I tell them that I was afraid of the ball, right? So here's this baseball coach who's big and strong. And I tell them, like, until I was about 14 years old, I had a healthy fear of that ball. It hurt But I can also tell you this, once I learned how to get hit the right way, the pain always went away. I got hit with 98 in the spine. The pain went away, So it's one of those things where, and you can ask them like, you've been hit before, right? Yeah. Did the pain go away? Yeah, actually pretty quickly. Yeah. So it's a healthy fear. It's 6 ounces of pure intimidation. But we're going to give you the tools, get you equipped. I love the idea of like, if you've been hit in the face, let's get you that deal. Let's get you the mask. Let's go. Texans 2025, Super Bowl champs. But at the same time, coach was afraid too. So like, I don't want you to think you're on an island. You're the only one that's scared. No way. I also love Flick. You just said tennis balls. Like, hey, you want to hit tennis balls? Bet. Let's do that. That's a great idea, and have them slowly build to that confidence of like, hey, dude, we don't have to take BP with baseballs.
Yep.
Let's do it until you're comfortable. Whatever you're comfortable with there, pal.
Also, don't be turned off by the fact that they're confident in batting practice against a coach and then completely different in the game. Expect it. That's how it's going to be. That's the deal. And when they're ready, when you feel like maybe they've gone from completely completely fearful of all things kid pitch to maybe they're not jumping out of the box, they're just kind of lightly stepping. Then you create a station, one of your small group stations at practice where there's a kid pitching. And maybe there's a grading system where, again, we these are the kids on the team that know where the ball's going for the most part. You got your batter with your helmet, maybe your mask, but the batter doesn't have a bat. The batter has a glove. And then there's a catcher behind home plate who's catching this bullpen from the pitcher. Meanwhile, you as the batter, you're able to see the ball out of the hand. Nothing's more empowering than experience. Just experiencing these moments, seeing it out of a kid's hand, and knowing, you know what? Yeah, I just saw that. I just held my ground. So that's down the line. That's third quarter stuff there. But yeah, it's good. Good. We're about done here. We're about out of here. But I got one more from a coach on Instagram asking, how do you coach up other coaches if they aren't the most positive? And I'm taking this as maybe an assistant coach or a head coach on your team. Um, you've been listening to this podcast. You know the value in staying positive. And then you've got this coach who's not going about it. Who wants to start this one off here? Who's got the juice?
I'll start with from the head coaching side of it, just because you get to set the culture. So you want to set these expectations before the season starts and make sure they know, hey, this is how we communicate to each other. This is how we communicate towards umpires. This is how we communicate to the kids. Everything is phrased positively. We're looking for opportunities to encourage. If you have to construct, it's got to be one-on-one. And you set these standards and you make sure they know. And listen, I'm not saying this is the right way to do it. This is just the culture that we're going to set. And if you're not okay with that, totally respect that. But this is how we're going to do it for this season. And you set it. So if they honor it, great, you're dialed. If they don't, that's where we have a meeting. And it's like, hey, we've talked about this. We've set these expectations. I'm going to need you to make sure you don't talk to the umpire in this tone or another coach in this tone. We don't do that in front of the kids. We're modeling. And so if we're not always going to see eye to eye. We're just always going to see eye to eye in front of the kids. And then we can go behind closed doors with a glass of milk and talk about where we differ and how we think we should do things. But that's not acceptable. If it happens again, you're not going to be a part of this culture anymore. Like I said, I had to do that at the high school level a few years ago. After my first ever high school win, I had to let a coach go because we had expectations. They weren't met once. They weren't met again in that game. And that was that, because your culture is what you tolerate. So I think it's easier from the head coach's lens because you're in charge. I want Flick Money to hit this from the assistant coach because it's going to be more challenging. So I took the easy way out.
Well done.
I would say from Chopper, great job. I love it. And I would say from the assistant, you have to look at yourself almost like a double agent. Like you've parachuted behind enemy lines. It's not an enemy. We don't look at them as an enemy, but the enemy is negativity, corrosive negativity. You've parachuted behind those lines, and you are now a double agent working on for the team, for positive energy, for unconditional love, for character development, growth, all these things. So what's the best way to approach that? coach ball games and master this. It's relationship. You're going to need to build relationships with the coaches that you're talking about, over coffee, over a beer, take them golfing, whatever their thing is, whatever their love language is, and find out learn more about them, try to create some capital, build some relationship capital with them. And then slowly over time, maybe you can introduce some concepts to them. There's great research available. If there's someone who could be receptive to, hey, this is actually hard science. People have actually studied this. Here's how a young brain actually optimally learns and grows and performs. There's, Carol Dweck, growth mindset at Stanford University. They've done all kinds of amazing research on this stuff. So there is hard science behind it. Maybe that's something you can introduce, but maybe not. Maybe that's not going to be receptive. That's all going to be put in the participation trophy beta category, poo-pooed. That's fine. So then you're going to have to do it, lead by example. It's going to have to just be a real respectful, lead by example. And then at the end of the season, you have to maybe make some decisions about, if this is the place for you. If there is an opportunity for people to grow, I always believe there's an opportunity even for the hardest adults to grow, because what I know to be true is that inside that adult is a kid, and inside that adult is probably a wounded kid who probably didn't get some of the things that you have to offer. So how can we do that skillfully? And there's not a one size fits all. I can't say do this, this, and this, and then they're going to change. It's going to have to be done through relationship and learning about that human.
I can't answer that question better than that. I don't even think I can add to that. I will give just one bit of confidence to this coach is what if you can treat it as an opportunity, and that might take some time, but instead of it being a bummer on your day, if you can look at that kid inside of that coach, that's a blowhard or negative, and you can look at it as a fun challenge and an opportunity. Don't expect quick fixes once again, but you might change 1,000 lives by leading by example and walking beside this coach, because odds are he's going to keep coaching. That guy's going to keep on coaching for years and decades, and you might really change the world just by the way you can empathize, walk, have milk, beer, coffee with that person. I've got one last one, and it's a quick answer. How do you deal with trying to get kids to focus? Kids talking, dogpiling, chaos. Man, we don't usually do this, but I'm just going to say playbook. The Coach Ballgame playbook. If you need it today, there's a recording of it on my website. It's in the red stripe right at the top of coachballgame.com, or you can go to my link tree and in my bios on the socials. Me, Flick Money, Chopper, we recorded the playbook a few months ago, and we almost spent a whole day on this. It is the meat and potatoes of the playbook that we put out. Is how do we wrangle? How do we engage? How do we build trust? How do we get them to not do the chewing on the glove and climbing the fence and tickling each other thing? Jump in there because there's a lot to it. There's a lot to unpack. It's not a one-liner or one bag of goodies that you bring that changes the whole deal. It's a journey. So for all of you, if you haven't tapped into that playbook, what are you waiting for? You are the superhero you've been waiting for. Get in there. And it's not for baseball coaches solely. It's for all sports. It's the prereq before you start teaching any skill. Get in there and win those hearts. So thank you, listeners, for posing these topics at us. And thank you all for trying to get better. Really, that's the secret to the secret. Build an army of great coaches going about it the right way. I've met so many on the road, just good people who care about these kids in their community. You know who you are. Love you. Flick Money, Chopper, anything to close up episode 96, man. We're creeping towards a hundo.
Love you both. Don't forget to rake, bang.